Okay, it's 7 p.m. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Greg?
Here.
Josh?
Here.
Kathy? Here.
Here.
Right. James?
Here.
Ellen? Here. Brian?
Here.
Larry is excused this evening. We are going to go into public comments, village residents and taxpayers only. Speakers will be limited to making comments related to all agenda items, excluding closed session items related to employment and labor issues. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker per agenda item. There will be no discussion by, with the village board during public comment.
There's a pen and
Name out.
paper there. Yes, please. Name and address, if you would.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, a few months ago, you turned down a lawsuit which I brought forward. I'd like to explain what that was about quickly. I'm the developer of Guthrie Estate subdivision. Consequently, my engineering firm designed plans for retention pond, road, and what else could be happy up there. We were commencing work on a retention pond. We were told to stop. A house was being built next to the retention pond after my plans had been approved. The house came in later. Consequently, the cost of putting my engineering firm, redesigning that retention pond 150 yards down the line, removing numerous trees that wasn't in the original plan, it cost me a great deal of money. It's not the village board's fault, it's one of your contractor's fault. It's the village board obligation, in my opinion, to put the blame where it belongs. It's not the village board's cost, it's one of your contractors. The engineering firm or the building inspector made a mistake, and it cost me a great deal of money. What would you do? That's all I have to say.
Any other public comments? I'll ask again, any more public comments? Public comments are now closed. We're gonna go into number 3, reports. Item A, fire department monthly report.
Good evening.
Hey, Joe.
So we had 25 calls for the month. We participated in Rumble by the River. Our after-action report is attached. We'll be sending several staff to school this fall. Classes for EMT and motor pump operator are being held at WCTC. The department will be holding off on our bags tournament. We had planned to do it on the 24th, but found out that there's also bags tournaments, big bags tournaments in Quantico and Muskego the same day. So the association is looking into other options, and we'll be getting back on that. Our call volume continues to remain high this year. We're 30% above last year's call volume at this point. And staff is getting ready for National Night Out on August 8th. We're looking forward to the community event. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, John. B, library monthly report. I believe Carla's not here. Please review it at your leisure. You know, she does have Multiple events coming up in August, the 1st, the 3rd, the 6th, the 8th, the 15th, the 29th, and the 31st. They were shouting out also the fact that National Night Out is on the 8th as well. C, Police Department monthly report, and also about National Night Out.
Last month, we wrote 47 tickets, which is kind of a high for the last 6 months. We had no serious crimes. The rest of the citations are in your packet, where they were issued, who they were issued by. We had a number of assists. By the way, for those of you who don't know about it, that Karen Laundrie who was missing has been located, and she's home safe. We had 4 hours and 37 minutes in assists to the county, to the fire department, and to Grayson County. And that's about it. Any questions?
Chief,
Thank you.
Are you getting the events and incidents that are occurring after hours when you're not on?
I'm aware that there was a fight over at Shamrock, and county handled that.
But you're not getting daily reports from WSD in
No.
regards to events that go on in the?
No.
It would be kind of nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So would you just request that? Is that how that works?
Jamie, I would,
Yeah, I mean, just, it'd probably be a phone call or something.
All right, I
Just
will
to
do
see
that.
if they can send you any incidents that occurred. I know years ago, Don used to get reports and Margaret used to get reports
Okay.
of events that have occurred in the village.
No, I haven't up to this point. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. D, President's report, I do not currently have anything currently. E, Public Works Department monthly report, also in regards to the Jackson Parkway tree, and a possible contract moving forward, split between the village and the residents.
Good evening. So I'll go through this, I know that Josh knows about this back in the park there where we got flooded out, the trail got severely damaged back there. We did fix it before the rumble, we'll have to fix it again. We're done with the baseball stuff, just took care of our plow damage that we had. Only 3 little spots. So if you've been down Clark Street or 164, you'll know that the intersections have been painted, refreshed, but they missed a bunch. So there's a column to that. So Town Line Road, let's get to that. So I kind of got on this late because I wasn't aware of all the stuff going on. So we did meet with the village of Waukesha. There's some things that are being changed, culvert, angles and stuff like that. And we're just working with the, I think Dave Ball Investments, see if we can get our ditch line and open it up a little bit. We're going to go in with a big brush cutter and open up the road, otherwise there's going to be an extra charge for that. So, Oak Paving's doing it. We're also going to do the shouldering on that on our side, save us some money. Covered 11 graves, did the Woodstock stuff, posted roads and many other streets that are on the report here for the rumble. We did the complete tear down and our setup tear down for that. There's been turf damage from equipment. There's been turf damage out here on the lawn from the vehicles. After Saturday night, obviously we had a pretty massive storm, a lot of water come. So we'll get that taken care of when we get the time here and it actually dries out. Cemetery expansion, I told you guys it would be late June or late July or August. Because of the thing on town, I'm gonna move that to the end of August. If this thing's coming down, I believe the 12th or 15th. We did 30 yards of certified playground chips in the playground area. Police department was the flags over on Big Bend drive-bys. Quick Trip, we put those up. We fired a seasonal employee. We also drained the sanitary system that our we pumped that out. It's completely full. It's not sewage, it's just clear water that's in there. So Greg just handed me the contract from, I think it was Clark's Tree Service. I spoke to Richie the other day on this, he came down. I don't have any problems going half on this thing. If they can get it down and they have insurance and stuff, I'll want to see certificate of insurance. So if that happens, we can get this thing taken care of. And we won't have any labor of ours in there.
What's the price on
It's $3,400 plus a buck and a half of the stump, which is really cheap. That's a big tree, very big tree. So I think that's extremely reasonable compared to looking at some of the other costs that I've got. Do you want to look at that contract right away?
that? For the generator?
Yes.
Take a look at that up, just see. Just pulling up our notes. We had approved it during finance.
Okay.
But we would like the paperwork to be updated with this year's timestamp on it and everything else.
So if you saw the
Even-
email I sent you, he
I
said
know.
he was not going to update it, I can get him the updated.
Just because it says the 23rd.
I think it's a very reasonable amount of money.
It is. We discussed it. We also reached out to other places. Brian did a lot of background on it. And it's very reasonable. But we are going to make sure that it is part of the proposal going forward for the budget for DPW. So that money will get pulled out of there
Okay.
going forward.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Tracy, can I make a motion to approve that?
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the equipment maintenance proposal from Cummings for our generator. After, well, once we get the updated proposal from Cummings.
I'll second it.
Josh. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
In that this is for emergency management for the village, the generator, why would it come out of our budget? Or are we increasing his budget to cover
The
this?
money's gonna be in the budget of the DPW.
It'll be put in there in addition to what he's already got?
Correct.
Okay, good. That's fair.
Just so that money is allocated specifically for it. So I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Report for professional services.
Yes, got a number of things in the hopper, but they just haven't reached a conclusion, so I'll save reports on that, so future meetings. We did know, and maybe for some of you who weren't here at the time that we did it, there was a landlocked parcel referred to as the Triangle, which is north of some homes that are located in the village of Vernon. The property lines about what we call this landlocked triangle was created by the right-of-way going through then the town of Vernon and left these 3-acre triangle. There were good reasons what the board did, including getting rid of maintenance on the property and avoiding some problems that are occurring. So they made a decision to sell that triangle to the owners. Each one of the sales involving individual parcels that extended the 5 owners' lot lines to the freeway right-of-way. It resulted in parcels that were differing in size, from very small to, I think, the biggest one's on acre and a half on the east side. We tried to come up with a price for it, and the board decided to use an assessed valuation. Because the property is owned by the village, it doesn't have an assessed valuation. So from the appraiser, we got, from the assessor, I'm sorry, we got a figure, $7,500, which would be what it would be valued at if it was appraised or assessed. Well, it's raining outside. Bash them out. So but anyway, we presented that to each one of the owners, and it's a very good deal for them. So each one of the 5 owners bought in on it, and then we just were busy and didn't get it out until several days ago. So we sent out to each one of the 5 owners, I don't know if I sent you a copy, Tracy. I should have, but, no, sorry, I didn't. But anyway, we sent you each one of the owners on the calculations of what their acreage was compared to the whole, and compared to the 4 decimal points. And that identified out of the total costs, how much was allocated to each one of the lots. So they were given 15 days to get their certified checks in, and at that point, we accounted for the cost of recording the documents. So we will record these documents once everybody's put their money in, and we're ready to go. The lower is out in $7,500 to the village. We haven't planned on, but done with a sharp stick. Interesting, I had one of the owners called today who asked if his parcel in Vernon was owned only by himself, could be, if this parcel could be his name and his wife's name. And I said, we can't do that. We can't create any ownership in that landlocked piece other than the owner who joins it. And since he's the only owner who joins it, so I told him, just take the deed the way it is, and then if you want to do something with your spouse, create ownership in all of the properties, you can do that. So it's all moving along. It'll probably take another couple of weeks and we'll be done with it. It was a bit of a hassle to go through all of this, but it's a better gift for the city, village, so it doesn't have to take care of the parcel anymore. And these owners are getting pretty good deals on parcels that enhance their lot size by a little bit to a lot. So anyway, that's just what I was kind of saying.
Madam Chair, I would like to go back to Public Works. I have a couple questions. Eric, I have a couple questions in regards to Celebrations. Celebrations is a subcommittee of Public Works.
Yep.
I'd like to know whose authority did Celebrations have in regards to depositing $188,000 into a separate account that is not authorized by the Village of Bend?
It's not mine.
The account basically is a Celebrations account. It has the monies from the event, and the signers are the former village president and the former village clerk. There's nothing that says in regards to this that was set up by this village board. There was nothing set up.
Okay.
I'd like to know on whose authority did they do this? All
So
monies.
whose authority did you take the fire department money and put it into your association?
Because we started with 0 and worked our way up.
Okay.
There still is $20,000+ in the village account that has never been moved.
Okay, well, I don't have any control over the money, so you're talking to the wrong guy.
So who's the person then that we're gonna need to talk to?
I think you need to talk to Stephen Warren.
Because all monies are supposed to be run right through the clerk's office for that event, everything. And not a separate account in regards to that. When the fire department set up their 501(c), they started with 0. And everyone contributed and worked our way up to where we are today with that.
Like I said, I would talk to those 2 individuals.
Now, as long as the question's been asked, I think it was a number of years ago, and I'm not trying to do this to you necessarily, Eric, but a number of years ago, we tried to straighten out the relationship between the Celebrations Committee and the village, and that went nowhere. About a year and a half or 2 years ago, we even got to the point where we drafted an ordinance to make the Celebrations Committee a committee under the village.
Right.
And that got nowhere. So I don't even know what the Celebrations Committee is as far as an entity. Does anybody know whether it's a corporation or what in the world it is? Does anybody know? Can you give me the answer? Because this is fraught with all sorts of potential problems, huge problems. Failure to account for money is just one of them.
So you said failure to what?
Failure to account for money is one of the potential risks we have in this kind of situation. So, is it a corporation?
No.
What is it?
Subcommittee of Public Works.
Subcommittee of Public Works.
It's a subcommittee of public works. Okay, so they don't have their own checking account?
We did, and then it went back and it reverted back to the village.
All I can say is that I don't know what it is, but I know there's a lot of potential problems associated with it. And I'm hoping, despite our failure to address this 6 or 8 years ago, and more recently, that we straighten out really the relationship out for once and for all. And I guess I'm saying that to the board.
Do you remember why that ordinance failed, why it did not go through?
It got tabled.
We drafted it,
Never
we
been
drafted it, and it died. Well, we drafted it and provided it to everybody, and it went nowhere. What the rationale was for that, or lack of a rationale for it, I don't know.
Sure. Couldn't we get Stephen Warren in here to get some kind of clarification on that?
Well, I think it should really start at the finance committee. I think that's a better forum for it to start the discussion, to identify what this relationship is, what it's going to be prospectively, and to have some sort of methodology to accounting for funds, maybe past and present. It's not a good situation.
I don't think that's a true statement. We've had, every one of our clerks has been the person in charge of the money, and I think all of our books are up to date.
And you've seen all the paperwork and all the checks and everything.
I see some of it, I don't see very much of it.
Okay, well then you can't.
I just know that there haven't
Pick the
been,
relationship as being that.
so with the auditor, there hasn't been an issue.
Well, bottom line, should we straighten this mess out? Yes or no?
What's that?
Should we straighten the mess out?
I don't know where the mess is.
You're saying if there's no mess whatsoever.
I don't think there's a mess. Nobody's told me there's a mess.
Eric, the Celebrations opened a new account
Okay?
and put proceeds in it. No one in the village has the ability to touch any of that money or move any of it. There's no
Okay.
accountability in our office.
Well, I can tell you it didn't come from me.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's the
Right.
update on it. So,
I would ask those 2 guys then to come in and talk to you.
Well, listen to the opportunity to straighten it out, and I hope there's the motivation to straighten it out. I would start with the finance committee and have these people who are part of an organization that doesn't seem to have any ordinance standing in the village, because there is nothing. And I think based on the extended responsibilities of this group, it should have more direct control from the board. And the celebrations committee ordinance we set up actually did create it as a 3rd committee.
So if you could send me that, I would love to see that, because I don't remember that.
Okay. Well, up to the affirmative nods, I think
Yes.
hopefully we're gonna go ahead and get the
January
ball rolling.
2018, it got tabled.
And do you mind if I address something else? It's not exactly the agenda, but Mr. Khan did a presentation about what happened with your development. And just, I want you to know, and the board to know too, that our insurance carrier is the one that controls these types of claims. And it was submitted to them, and the insurance carrier instructed us to deny the claim. The effective denial of the claim allows you to, after the passage of 120 days, or at the time it's denied, and it was denied here, you now can take steps to collect the monies that you think are due. But the board did not make that decision, they did not have control over it.
We were still working on that project until just recently, so it was never closed.
Well, it could be, Mike, I'm not talking about the merits of the claim. I'm just saying that procedurally, this board doesn't have the authority to do anything other than to do what its insurance carrier said. So now, the only way to resolve it was to file a lawsuit against the city, a village, I'm sorry. So just so you understand that, just so these people understand it, it's not these people who made that decision. They're directed to do it.
It's the board's responsibility to put the fault where it lies, as one of your contractors. It's not the village board's fault.
Well,
It's either the building department
if you
or
start
the engineering
a
department.
lawsuit, that will be the result of it. If you start a lawsuit against the village, and the village attorneys for the insurance company think that there was other parties who contributed, they will bring them into the lawsuit. For your information.
Thank you, President.
No, that's,
Number 4, consideration and approval of the minutes. favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Moving on. Number 6A, going into closed session as per Wisconsin State Statutes 19.85, 1C.
We forgot the bills.
Oh, so I'm so sorry. 5, approval of bills. Discussion, consideration, approval of bills in the amount of $99,971.26. Mostly payroll. Any discussion at all?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills as presented.
I'll second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Go into closed session as per Wisconsin State Statutes 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governing body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically the police chief's working agreement and public works superintendent working agreement. Take a roll call vote to go into closed session. Brian? Ellen? Jamie?
Aye.
Craig? Josh? Tracy? Aye. We are now going into closed session. Oh, we got you.
Is there not a law that you can get into with the health insurance? with your-
These are the best way for us to go with the marketplace. Our contributions.
We are resuming open session. We are going to discuss, consider, and possible action regarding items discussed in closed session, the chief's working agreement, and the public works superintendent working agreement.
I'll make a motion to accept the chief's working agreement as presented.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The second item is the employment agreement between the Village of Big Bend and our DPW superintendent.
I'll make a motion to accept the public works superintendent working agreement as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. There is no old business, so we will go into new business. Consideration, discussion, and approval of village committee appointments.
I'll we're talking about ones that we did last time.
Pardon?
No, we're talking about ones we did. Deputy.
Updating since Jamie's not on the board. For finance, I was wondering, I know Josh didn't really want to be on finance going into this year. And you would like more tenured associate, and we were hoping that Jamie would be part of our finance committee. With exception. Well, that's good, because I'm gonna need you on cemetery board.
I'll go wherever you need. Except finance. Except finance.
So Public Works is gonna stand with Larry, Josh, Wayne, Tom, and Larry. Public Safety, I didn't see any reason to change everything with Greg, myself, Kayla, Cindy, and Andrea. Planning Commission, we're going to stay with Warren as chairperson, Jamie as co-chairperson, Greg as trustee, Tom Kennedy, Tom Zabriskie, and Mike. We can have Josh on as a resident, otherwise I do have another resident in the village that is willing to be on planning commission. He is a general contractor as well.
I'm open to whatever. I'll stay on if you want me to stay on, or if you want to put Dan on, that's fine too.
Either way.
Any discussion at all?
Who is this, who is the other person?
Magic Properties, Dan Majeski. He actually reached out to me to see if there was any available positions on any of the committees, specifically like planning commission. He just wants to get one, more involved in the community, two, with his background and rehabbing buildings and pulling permits nonstop and everything else, because he's redone 4 different, we call them chouses, so churches turned into houses, and also the parsonages in different municipalities. He's doing one in Madison now, just got done in North Prairie, and there was one up in Belgium besides the one here on Park Street. Any
I'll flip you for it, doesn't matter what name.
That's up to Josh.
But then that would let us have the 2 trustees on the board instead of having 3
I
on the
think that
commission,
would probably be better.
just to not have
Sure.
burnout on everyone.
That's fine.
So I will make a motion to approve adding Dan Majeski to the planning commission and removing Josh Grover, while leaving Warren and Jamie, Greg, Tom, Thomas Zabriskie, and Mike. Do I have a second? Right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And going on to this. Board of Appeals is gonna remain Mike, Wendy, Ron, Bob Heidemann, and Ellen Cole. Board of Review, Aaron, Jamie, and Warren. Police and Fire Commission, Karen, Derek, Craig, Aaron, and Mark. Library Board, we did not change it out either. Tifa? Did I say it right? Tifa, sorry. Ellen, Joan, Jolene, Deanna, Bobby, and Kathy. The Cemetery Board is where I would like to remove myself from, because I'm on 105 other committees and commissions. Jamie is on there currently as a resident plot owner. I was on as trustee, and Greg was already on.
I'm on as trustee,
So I'll make a motion to change the cemetery board to Christine, Nancy, Josh, Jeff, Jane, Jamie, Keith, and Greg.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
5 Fox River Commission is gonna remain with Larry and Ellen. Shared Services is gonna remain with myself, Brian, and Larry. Emergency Management Team of Tony Hoodie, Fire Chief John Ludwig, and Police Chief Scott Sarnowski. And the Weed Commissioner is gonna remain as Ellen Cole, unless you wanna not do it.
And emergency management is, as if,
Tony, John, and Scott are all gonna work together because during an emergency, they're gonna end up working together anyways.
I have a question about Fire and Police Commission and removing individuals prior to their terms being up and without just cause.
The time to have brought that up would have been at the previous meeting when we changed the committees and commissions.
There's rules about this kind of thing in the state statutes. Mike, do you have any opinion on this?
I don't know if I can accept that, any sort of problem. Were there changes made to the police and fire commission for existing members were placed?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I prefer not to knee-jerk on that one at this point. Now that I know, if Tracy could give me the information, or somebody could give me the information, as to what happened, who was on the police and fire commission.
Correct.
Based on my current knowledge of that situation, the terms are for 5 years, and they cannot be removed except for cause. But that's my knee-jerk. At this point, I'm going to spoken to be more.
I think that we should do that. We need to do that.
I guess I would say that if statute wasn't followed, the commissioners continue to stay in their roles for their designated terms. We'll look at the facts and come to a conclusion.
And you're gonna, yeah, we can get the previous list. I will get the previous list from
Okay.
Kathy and Laura.
What their terms of office?
Mike, you had gone through this a number of years ago. When a situation had arose when Sadie Sonnenberg and Leah Thicko were removed prior to their terms ending.
What happened?
You said state statute does allow for that to happen.
I said that? Well, I'm not done wrong. We just got followed statute. Really just research after that.
What's that?
They follow statute?
I would assume so.
Yeah. We'll follow the statute. I just have to know what the facts are, and then I'll get a response back.
And the subsections and stuff, if you look at.
Well, we'll get something to you that will crystallize, to focus your thoughts on what you concluded, and then these folks can kick it down. And certainly have it done before the next board meeting. So we'll give you time to think about it, and it can be placed on the agenda, potentially as a discussion item. Great.
New business B, consideration, discussion, and approval of the PFC attorney's agreement. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, since we were talking about committee, I'd like to take a vote from the board to allow me to draft an ordinance making celebrations its own committee and not a subcommittee. The ordinance would also place 1 to 2 board members on the committee. I feel that there needs to be an accountability of funds, spending, donations. I've looked at 20 to 30 surrounding municipalities, and all of them, their celebrations falls under the village board.
I think we need to have that as an agenda.
That may be a great idea, but it's not on the agenda.
Well, it's under village committees. I mean,
Well,
I
it
just
has to be a little more
want to
specific.
ordinance.
No, that's not gonna work.
Okay,
It's not gonna work. It
Okay.
has to be more specific than that, just it's a committee, and then we'll do whatever we want with any of the committees. This is not a bad idea.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna actually be investigating that relationship. It's going to affect the way in which you set up an ordinance. I can tell you that probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, we actually prepared an ordinance.
yeah,
There is an ordinance out there somewhere that went nowhere.
January
And
18th.
maybe if you get it from the clerk, you could get it from the clerk's office. There's nothing that prohibits you from starting on your own to try to rectify the situation and make suggestions.
So if that ordinance got tabled though, we could just reintroduce that ordinance at the next meeting.
In a form that the group wants. I think that's a starting point rather than a guaranteed ending point. So if you get that ordinance, it's somewhere around here somewhere, if not, call me and I'll get you a copy of it.
Okay.
And then you can start toying around with what your thoughts are.
Perfect.
Okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other discussion about committees at all? I have noted the next actions for the next meeting for you, Brian, as well for Ellen and the treasurer. 9B, consideration, discussion, approval of the PFC attorneys agreement. It is enclosed in your packet. This was approved at finance, due to them aiding us earlier in the year with another employee. The fees were the same for the associates and the paralegals, as well as he himself. The only thing I had amended on it was the update that Kelly is no longer working for us. So that's been updated and a new email's been sent. I will have to have Mark re-sign that one then, just so it's up to date.
Do you know approximately what they charged us for everything? Just curious.
That was prior to being on finance, but I can find out.
I'm just kind of curious how it runs up.
Any discussion at all?
I would add that I looked at it, and it's typical for this type of arrangement. I think the fees are pretty fair. When you get to a specialized type of counsel, not only an employment lawyer, but a municipal employment lawyer, because it has its own anomalies. And I was really happy, several months ago, when the village board brought him on board to be available to run deal with situations such as this, and other situations where there are employment law related issues. Just so everybody knows, the Police Fire Commission's efforts are really a silica judge and a jury. They decide the facts and they then determine if it's appropriate action, discipline, or whatever. There really are two parties to that process. One is like a criminal violation. I don't mean this to be like that, but it is. There's charges that are brought by the chief. And our firm has agreed to represent the chief in this situation. But we can't represent the judge and jury at the same time. That's an obvious conflict of interest that violates any standards of fairness and any standards of due process of law. So it has to be a totally independent attorney who's going to represent one of those two positions. We'd already gotten in pretty deep with the chief and felt it would be inappropriate for us to slide over to a different party in this process. So that's why we have to incur the expense and get the expertise on separate counsel.
Any more questions or discussions? I'm gonna make a motion to approve the PFC attorneys agreement for Crivello.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I would suggest that the contract when signed be expedited and gotten to the attorney, because this process takes a while with monthly meetings. It doesn't move as quickly or as efficiently as it possibly could. So get it to the attorney, and he'll want to get on board and probably meet with the members of the PFC to start to organize on their end.
I'll email it over tonight to them with the updated copy. Mark, for me to sign. Letter D, consideration, discussion, and possible action of acquiring funds for Town Line Road portion. Project starting date is August 22nd. In finance, we have tabled that because we haven't received a bill yet for the services that we are going to be doing. Our portion of it is going to be just over $120,000, which was discussed previously at one of our previous board meetings. So we can move on because it has been tabled. Yes, Ellen?
So, if necessary is on here twice, the excavation below grade and all that kind of stuff. When will we know?
Bridget has been out on site at the last planning commission meeting. We were here for it. She was gonna be there for the test. And then they were gonna determine whether or not they were gonna have to do it twice or not. But I can have her attend the next meeting as well, since it is tabled. Correct. But she would be more than happy, she reached out and said she'd be more than happy to come to discuss any issues with it,
Okay.
since we are tabling it. So I will make a motion to table.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? E, consideration, discussion, approval of the following operator's license application. All renewals for 2024, 2025 unless noted. One is a renewal, one is new for Papa Stash, Lindsay Dukowski, and Anna Marish. There were no issues at public safety with either applicant per Scott. They were approved unanimously on Tuesday.
I'll make a motion to accept the operator's license applications for Lindsay and Ann.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Moving on to F, consideration discussion regarding transient merchant application, approval coming forth from planning commission up to the village board for Craiglet Farms on the corner of Clark Street and Edgemond, and it was approved at planning commission on 7/25.
Yeah, we went through that with them, and it's pretty much business as usual. It's the same selling produce down by the mobile. So they've been doing for years and didn't seem to be a problem.
Except this year it's $150 versus $300 for how many years?
Never know that.
So, Laura said she gave her a break because she has to pay Ben for his services. Ben's review and setting this all up from his company. Do we really need to do that? For all the years that we've had a vegetable stand up there. And I have the building engineer redoing stuff for us. So she's gonna have to pay him. It's my understanding. She, Teresa, whatever her name is.
Tammy?
Tammy? Doesn't seem fair. Right.
I agree. I mean, some of the stuff that we have to send to Ben to look over, I think is,
It's not
I think we can, some of them we can just resolve at planning commission if there's,
I agree.
I mean, it's been something that we've been doing for years and years and years, and there's never been a problem.
Do they provide us with a certificate of insurance?
That would be a question to ask planning commission.
Who's on planning?
I mean,
Do they provide a certificate of insurance?
that wasn't brought up at the meeting.
I think that would be something that we
Yeah,
could.
and it doesn't state it on the application either.
Or really provide that to the mobile station owners, because they're on their property.
That'd be something to discuss for next year's.
I just, I guess
No,
my point
I
is-
understand.
Is Ben thing, or office. It's a little community with village funds. I just don't want to set a precedent for $150 a year for that if we're getting $300. You know what I'm saying?
So who made that agreement? Just Laura or?
I think Laura gave her a break because she was gonna be charged from the engineering company for doing all this paperwork and setting this up the way it is now.
And Laura can do those things?
Did we need this? I understand businesses pick up the cost of our engineers and our professionals. But this doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, we probably should have kept it for 300 and just said we'd take care of Ben then or something, if that was the case. So we can keep that at $300.
Why was Ben even brought in?
Well, I don't know, but that's a moot point now, it already was.
Well, he runs the planning commission, so he's looking everything over. I guess.
Any other discussion?
At this point, then I'll make a motion to accept the merchant application as presented.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Letter G, review discussion of possible approval of the request for Rick Riviera, AKA Ideal Windows, for a conditional use permit request and associate site plan and plan of operations for a window contractor business. Property is located at W231 South 7680 Big Bend Drive. Property owner is Reston Recall Investments LLC, tax parcel number BBV 2060999. The property is zoned as B4, Highway Business District, and a section 16.23 addresses site plan and the plan of operation standards. Sections 16.25 addresses conditional use permit standards, and section 16.41 addresses B4 standards of development. It was brought up to planning commission on 7/25 as well. And if I'm not mistaken.
And we
it
did
would-
approve it at that level and said to move it forward.
Correct.
I think there was a few minor things that were gonna change, but.
I believe they were gonna change it from 3 to 5 vehicles
Yeah,
instead,
just a few minor things.
because they were gonna be in the process.
They already bought.
Correct, which you had brought up.
Why should we get to 7 at the right of way?
Correct.
Well,
And it's just gonna be a storefront in one portion.
they'll have a showroom.
Yes, a storefront showroom, and then storage everywhere else. Any questions or discussion at all? I'm gonna make a motion to approve the request for the conditional use permit as previously approved at the planning commission meeting for Rick Riviera of Ideal Windows.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? H, review and discussion and recommendation to the village board for a special event for local business Papa Stash. Property is located at W228S9300 Big Bend Drive. Property owner is Lannis Properties LLC. Tax parcel number BBB 2111995003. Pursuant of section 12.07 of the village ordinances, a special event of 50 to 100 people for these events, if located at or sponsored by a business, may require consideration from the village planning commission. Saturday, September 21st, 2024, which at the planning commission on July 25th, it had already been discussed and approved by them.
Yeah, I believe it was a class reunion for
Nick,
Waukesha North.
Ross,
Oh. A mixed year one. And I think we went over pretty much of all the details and it seemed to be not a problem.
They're following the same lines as where they had the event last year.
I think the only thing they did change was from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, right? So it wasn't originally going to be 9 o'clock, they changed it to 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
And we had questions about the outdoor in regards to his PUD, so other stuff we'll address at a later time.
band shell, that never happened. Do you hear it over there?
Not too bad, no.
You know, when we first opened up, we had some good music out there. And then the motorcycles started, and those guys said their stereos cranked. The bartender should be doing something about that, but anyway.
I'm gonna make a recommendation to approve the special event at Papa Stash for September 21st of 2024. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Aye, review and discussion and recommendation to the village board for a special private event for the local business Richie's DS Bar. Property is located at South 91 West 22920 Milwaukee Avenue. The property owner is R&L Petrie LLC. Tax parcel number BBB 2111001003. Pursuant to section 12.07 of the village ordinances, a special event of 50 to 100 people. These events, if located at or sponsored by a business, may require consideration by the village planning commission, which was done on July 25th. This event is on Saturday, October 12th of 2024. It was also passed by the planning commission on the 25th. There were no issues.
Yeah, I think there's just a couple small things that we talked about, and Richie had no problem with it. So I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation for the special private event at Richie's Bar.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? J, consideration, discussion, and approval regarding second annual Bags and Brew Barbecue for the Fire Association, Class B, temporary license beer only, use of the park. C, vendor agent and needs safe server documentation from the state to dispense beer. FEIN is required and updated 2024 application. The date was tentatively August 24th, but it is going to be postponed, so it'll put to a later date due to other bags tournaments in the area. So at this point, we're going to table this until we get a set date, and then we'll bring it back to the board and public safety again.
Do we need a motion to table that? I'll make a motion to table that.
A second. Any discussion for tabling? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Number 10, correspondence. I currently do not have any, to my knowledge. And number 11.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Have a great evening and thank you all for coming.
So you didn't get it?
Yeah, we.
Some people are getting yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, Lolo's gonna be.
I don't know, I agree that.